Hello there, lovely folks of YouTube. Ren here. So I have a really small craft project that I was going to do today, and I figured, you know what, why don't I just make a video of me doing it so I can show all of y'all what I'm doing, and you can do it yourself too. What I'm making today is black salt. Now, black salt, witch's black salt specifically, is different from the black salt that you would buy, although you can use the black salt that you purchase as a black salt if you see fit. A witch's black salt is primarily used for protection and banishing, banishing negative energies. It sort of absorbs the negative energies, and then you can sweep it away, and it will then get rid of whatever it is that you want to get rid of. It's also used a lot of the time in order to similar to like a hot foot powder to prevent people who you don't want from coming into your space and things like that. There's a lot of different ways that you can make black salt. What I am doing today is I'm going to use a combination of actual culinary black salt. This is a Himalayan black salt that I purchased very inexpensively from San Francisco Herb, and charcoal. Now, my source for charcoal specifically is actually the leftover bits of charcoal discs and ash from the incense that I have burned on my Hecate shrine. So this is Hecate's little incense burner here. Anytime I had the leftover, bits of ash would fall through the screen into the bottom. Any little bits of the charcoal discs that hadn't completely burned away, I would drop down into this little basin now. And it's gotten rather full, so I need to do something with this. So we're going to make our black salt. So I'm going to start by putting all that ash and charcoal into my little mortar and pestle here. Now, if you don't have leftover incense, or you don't have any leftover incense that you feel you would want to use, you can always just burn some of your own herbs that you've hopefully grown in your garden or obtained otherwise. Particularly herbs that are good for protection, things like rue, agrimony, even rosemary would be good, roses, anything with a thorn on it, like those are all good protective herbs that you could burn as well. But I had this abundance of charcoal, so I'm going to make use of it. Basically, I'm just kind of grinding it up into a powder with my mortar and pestle. Luckily, the pre-burned charcoal from the charcoal discs is doing that rather easily. There's actually a little bit of unburned incense in there, which is fine, because it's going to add to the protective qualities of this. Mostly what I'm seeing that's unburned in here appears to be myrrh resin, which is also a good choice for this. So, here we go. So I have my charcoal ground down into a black powder. There's still a few chunks in there. There we go. I'm basically just going to put that into my little bowl here. Eyeball it and pour in roughly an equivalent amount of black salt. If you don't have the black salt, you can also use just regular sea salt or kosher salt or whatever it is that you have, because the charcoal will actually dye your salt black. Mix that together. I might actually add a little bit more salt to this because there's a lot of charcoal there. So. And I have one final ingredient that I'm going to add that most of you probably will not have, but I am very fortunate to have it, so I'm sure as hell going to use it. This is anvil dust. If you're not familiar with it, anvil dust is actually the little flakes of oxidized iron or steel that flake off of metal as you heat it up and then hammer it on an anvil. So this is something that any blacksmith would have plenty of. I'm having a hard time getting this cork out of here. This is something that I was fortunate enough to obtain when my husband and I did a little blacksmithing workshop for our anniversary. So luckily the smith who was running the workshop was very familiar with witchy practices, although he did not practice himself. Blacksmiths are always kind of borderline magical practitioners in their own right anyway. But he was familiar with the practices And when I asked him for some of the anvil dust after we were done, he didn't even blink an eye. He just said, sure, and he got me this little vial and gave it to me. So, which I am struggling so bad to get this cork out of. He really shoved it in there. Right, give me a second. I'm going to pause this video so I can get this thing out. Alright, well, after much struggle, I did finally manage to get the cork out of this bottle. So, I'm going to add just a little pinch of my, like the tiniest little pinch of my anvil dust to this. And just kind of give this a stir. Like I said, anvil dust is super magical, super protective. It is associated with Mars and Mars energies, which of course are the ultimate fuck around and find out kind of energies. So there we go. And of course, inevitably, there is always a cat hair in everything that I make. Alright, so now I'm going to pack it away for storage. When you use black salt, like, I would use very, very little of this. Generally, you only need a few pinches. If you're going to use this outside, definitely be very judicious because it does have salt in it, and too much salt will injure the plants around it. But just a little pinch is probably all you need. You could do, like, lay this down in a line in front of your front door in order to prevent any negative energies from coming in. Just make sure that you sweep it up and away after a few days, because it will have done its job by then and would have absorbed anything that was coming in. You can also do the same thing, like putting a pinch in the corner of your rooms, or just outside, put a little pinch at the corners, the four corners of your home, in order to do some protective work there. You could put it in a line. Like if you have a problematic neighbor, put a few pinches in a line on the property line between you and that neighbor's house in order to help protect your space from their negative energy coming in. There's a lot of different ways that you could use this. So, but like I said, what I've made here is probably like a 5-year supply of black salt. And that's just from what I had left over. So always repurpose your leftovers if you can. So this is a really, really simple, really easy, really economic way of making a very strong protective magical product that you can use. So anyway, that's my video for today. Like I said, this is just kind of a one-off thing. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do this. Let's make a video on it. So here we are. But anyway, hope you enjoy making your own black salt. I hope this video finds you well, and I will see you again soon.